Joe, big time matchup in the Big 12. I think a lot of people thought that both of these teams, Utah and Oklahoma State, would be in the top three of the Big 12 going into the season. Well, Oklahoma State's got two really big weeks. They got Utah this week and then Kansas State next week. Oklahoma State coming off a really good win against Tulsa and Arkansas the last couple of weeks. Utah had a quarterback change. Isaac Wilson coming in for Cam Rising. They beat Utah State last week. I think this is a really good matchup, not just in the Big 12, but in college football in general. When you look at this game, how do you see it breaking down?
So Cam Rising is currently expected to play. We're recording this on Tuesday, so things can change. The article that I read, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but Dorian Singer, it sounds like, may have accidentally revealed that he was expected to play. Again, things can change in this time period. That's probably the biggest contingency point is his availability, because if he is there, a part of this offense, you've got two quarterbacks who are 45 years old. Did you know that by the side tangent, did you know that the combined age of these two quarterbacks is older than that of the Sunday Night Football matchup between Caleb Williams and CJ Stroud?
I did know that. Yes, I saw that. I think, Cam Rising was born in 1999 and Bowman was born in 2000?
Yeah, they're 25 and 24, so the combined age is 49 years old. But I'd be first to point out that there's a difference in the quality of play from Cam Rising to Alan Bowman. I think Bowman's been fine. I think that he's very inconsistent. We saw that in the Arkansas game where the first half didn't play great, and then when he was given opportunities in short fields, he was able to finish plays and finish drives. That version of Alan Bowman needs to show up. Right now, I lean Utah because of what we saw in the Arkansas game. What we saw in the Arkansas game, before they started making mistakes left and right, they ran all over them. They ran the ball aggressively and downhill with Jaquindon Jackson and Taylon Green. They were able to produce a ton on the ground. And I think that, one, that Utah team is built around running the football and being physical on offense. They're going to have early success. I don't think they're going to dominate them, but that is where they're going to produce their points. And then on the flip side of things, again, that Oklahoma State game or the Arkansas game, we saw Ollie Gordon get bottled up a little bit. Right now, Utah, as we know in the history of Kyle Whittingham teams, they're good up front. And right now, they're only averaging allowing 3.1 yards per carry to opponents. They're rushing for 192 per game. That is a big disparity between the way they're performing and the teams that they've gone up against. If they play that well against Oklahoma State, I think that they're going to win this game.
Well, let me start off with Oklahoma State here. I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. Joe, I'm going to be real with you. I think Alec Bowman has been the catalyst of their offense and why they've been winning football games. Joe, look at Ollie Gordon at the current moment. He has not gotten going at all. I mean, last week against Tulsa, he had 17 carries for 41 yards. I mean, I can go to the Arkansas game where he was bottled up there too. They have had an issue with getting him going. I got to be a little real with you. I don't know if that's not on him, because I look at Holland last week, 10 carries, 53 yards. They got to get Ollie Gordon going. Like I look at Bowman last week too. Joe, I thought he almost had as many touchdown passes as he had incompletions against Tulsa. It's Tulsa.
It's Tulsa. That needs to get brought up. It's Tulsa.
I get that. But if you know anything about quarterback play, look, having that against air is still impressive. Joe, I do think that Bowman's finding a little bit of rhythm with his receivers. But to your point, I think that Utah has shown the capacity of running the football. The problem was we see it, like Josh Furlong on Twitter from the Utah Checkdown says sources that he believes that Cam Rising's going to play. So everything that they did offensively last week may come to a halt. Look, they were really bad on third down last week, meaning Utah. They were 3 of 13 on third down with a young quarterback. That changes all with Cam Rising. I am interested about one thing, though, that I really had been focusing in on with this Utah team. So Utah State got blanked 2 weeks ago against USC, and then they were able to methodically move the football against Utah. Do you buy into anything about that? Like if USC's out there blanking Utah State, and then Utah State turns right around, it is in a game, they scored 21 points the first 3 quarters, And a little bit into the game at Utah, I guess, does that change your mind on anything with Utah at the current moment?
No, because I think that just one, there's a big gap between Utah and USC right now. So I think that context is important. And two, you have Wilson stepping in, who's never started a game before, and he's fine. He might end up being a good player in the future, but your offense isn't playing as good as it could. They still put up 38 points, but early they're not playing as good. I don't take anything from that. I think that there sometimes tends to be, and I've fallen for the trap too, an overanalyzation on performances against G5 opponents, because sometimes teams step in and they're playing half asleep. I pay closer attention.
Two teams, state of Utah.
I just pay closer attention to where they've stepped up and they've shined. 3 straight games that they have been stout against the run, and that is going to show up in this performance. Alan Bowman has to be the guy that we've seen in spurts throughout this season. But there's 2 wolves inside of Alan Bowman, man. Like it needs to be acknowledged here, where he has made some great plays. He's not consistent. The first half against Arkansas is...
I agree with that.
Okay. The first half against Arkansas is the bad version of him. The second half is the great version of him. He's very opportunistic.
But it's not missed upon me, though, to the point of this, that Ollie Gordon has not been good at the current moment. And I think
I don't mean to cut you off, but like
Joey hadn't been good. There's no way for you to slice that pie right now.
To his defense, teams have just been doing everything and anything. This is why Alan Bowman's been making some good plays. They've been doing anything and everything the minute that he's on the field to say, we're not letting you get past the line of scrimmage.
So I went and watched that Tulsa game. They would have consistently 6 guys in the box. That's not an excuse. Because when I have Howling doing the same things in the same box, I think they got to – Ollie's got to
They're less worried about him. They're less worried about the Howling.
There's still 6 guys in the box. Joe,
but if you're telling your guys to play the run no matter what when Ollie Gordon's on the field, like you're going to come downhill and you're going to make play. That's exactly what Arkansas did.
No, that's not how line play works. I'm sorry. When you got 6 guys in the box and you can't run,
I understand that that's not how line play works.
Hold on. And then you have another guy that comes in and then has success. There's only one factor there. There's only one factor. You can't say that one guy's outperforming the other and that there's not been something going on there. There is something going on. Now, I don't know if he's not a little nicked up, if he's not 100%. Go watch back in Tulsa. Go watch.
I've seen him play. I think that he is being thrown and he's also, how many carries? You said he had 14. Like he's
17 for 41 yards.
He's not exactly being given the amount of carries that we're used to seeing from him, where he really gets going.
Carries against Arkansas, like that's what are you talking about? In 3 weeks, he got 37 carries.
I'm going to defend Ollie Gordon. I don't think that's fair to I don't think it's fair to criticize him.
But you cannot tell me that when you look at Arkansas in the second half and that Ollie Gordon can't get anything going. He can't get anything going against Tulsa. It's Alec Bowman that's been the one that's been running their offense. Joe, I look at the receivers from last week. Like looking at Stradlin, 7 catches, 174 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, there's got to be something to be said that if they can't get Ollie Gordon going against Tulsa and Arkansas, what are they going to go do against Utah?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say here is that I think that Utah wins because there's clearly a game plan to bottle him up. I don't think that Ollie Gordon's playing bad. I think that teams have figured out how to stop him.
I didn't say he was playing bad. I said they're going to get him going.
Okay. Well, the whole point that I'm trying to get at here is he's eventually going to get back into the stride that we know he's capable of. But it's not going to be against Utah. They have a very, very good run defense. And they have gone up against they have gone up and shown that they know how to play downhill and how to stop the run. I'm not very fearful of Alan Bowman. I think that you give him a lot of credit. I think his performance against Arkansas benefited heavily from having a lot of short fields and a lot of plays turning his way because Arkansas completely handed that game over to him. I think he's fine. I think he's a fine college quarterback, but I don't think that he is, like Cam Rising in this game, a game changer. I think he is going to play as good as we've seen, and he's probably going to make mistakes like we've seen, and he's going to turn the ball over like we've seen in his career. I think that Cam Rising is a big, big separation point that if he plays and if he's back to full health.
I'm going to be a little honest with you. I think that Cam Rising has not been a game changer through 2 weeks. I don't think he's 100% healthy. I mean, before he got knocked out, I get he had two really good touchdowns in the red zone. Joe was 8 of 14. And I got to be a little real with you, too. I don't know if Utah has been tested to the current moment. I mean, I know that they played Baylor at home. I know that, he got hit out of bounds. He hurt his hand, whatever. How is the status of his hand? But Oklahoma State's been tested. And I got to be honest with you. They have overcome adversity. And I got to be this is the thing that I'm looking at in this game. I think that Utah all around is the better program and the better football team. But I don't know what I'm going to get from Cam Rising if he can stay healthy. Joe, this is the third time that we've had an injury with him and that he's been knocked out of a football game. When he's in there, he's good. But the best ability is availability. And I got to be real with you. Like, I'm looking at Josh Furlong's tweet here. He said it's expected to play. I don't know how if he is fully
they might be trying to pull a fast one on him like they've done in the past. But hold on one second. Excuse me. Look, I know Dave better than most. I covered Dave for a long time, have had multiple conversations with him. Joe, I know that they gave up those touchdowns in the red zone. Okay, I understand what happened there. What did Dave do? Dave sent ungodly amount of heat on him, and I think that Cam was a little bit slow in trying to feel back over the game. Again, in the red zone, he was flawless. That's got a lot to do with experience, and I understand that. But I've also seen Oklahoma State tested at the current moment, and I got to be real. I want to lean Utah, but it's just that the inconsistency at quarterback at the current moment for Utah that worries me. I completely disagree on the perspective that
you always do.
Putting here on Cam Rising, because he got knocked out of that game after 14, 15 passing attempts. And he also missed all of last year. And he also only had 13 passes against Southern Utah. So, like, we haven't seen him play to know that he's
already hurt.
The injury thing, I will acknowledge, that is obviously problematic because he needs to be fully healthy and he needs to be available. But if he's good to go for this game, he's good to go for this game. Removing that for a second, I'm not worried about his performance. He's going to be fine for a game like that. He's thrown 30 passes on the season. We don't know what he
hurt. Joe, there's no way that you can't look at their first two games and say to yourself that he's not a tick slow. He's a tick slow on throws.
He's thrown 30 passes. Like, I don't think it's a fair assessment to make.
If you can't watch the Baylor game and watch the incompletions that he's had, he's hovering around 60%. He's late on throws. That is timing because he's not been there.
Yeah, he's been out for a whole season.
I know, but you can't just automatically, when you've been hurt for a week, get that timing back going.
I get that. I think you like Alan Bowman way more than you should. I don't think that he's
nothing to do with Bowman. This has nothing to do with Bowman. I picked Utah to win. I literally, in the preseason, picked Utah to win the conference because I thought that Cam Rising would come back healthy and be a little bit more sharp than what he is. But I cannot ignore that, especially when I know what Dave did to him, okay, and he's a tick slow. In the red zone, they had busted coverages. That's on Baylor. Yeah, you can't have dudes wide-ass open in the end zone, okay, and expect to win the football game. At the same token, okay, I look at their running game, and I ask, does Oklahoma State turn into a situation where, like they did Arkansas in the second half and a couple of weeks ago, and stop Micah Bernard? By the way, that kid is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Bernard is absolutely fantastic. He had 17 carries last week, 123 yards. I want to lean Utah. I'm just so worried about the health and experience if Isaac Wilson's got to come in, that if Oklahoma State experience on the other end doesn't beat them. That game's at home.
I say even if the first thing I brought up in this preview is the most important, even if Cam Rising's banged up, doesn't play well, or Isaac Wilson plays, the way that Oklahoma State's defense got ran all over by Arkansas, all over, with a much worse offensive line than this Utah one stepping into this game. That to me is all the Micah Bernard is going to have himself a great day. I really, truly believe that we have on film the biggest indicator. I think that's all we need. That's all we need to talk about, is that they could not stop the run against Arkansas. for the
Joe,
entirety of that
Arkansas
game.
had 50 rushing yards in the second half. I'm not going to say that they
Because
didn't.
they kept turning the ball over and had a million penalties.
Joe, how did they muff a punt? Like, why does a team line up to punt the football? Because they get what? They get what?
I don't understand why you want to give Oklahoma State so much credit for that second half. They were handed that game.
No.
They were handed the game.
So was LSU. So was, I'm going to be honest with you, so was Notre Dame against A&M.
No, that game was so much more lopsided. That was than any of those examples you just provided.
All right.
Arkansas was blowing them out and then completely handed the game over to them.
No, you don't like Bowman, and you don't want to be realistic.
No, this is. I'm being completely realistic. We watched them
not.
get run all over. It's on film. It's on film.
I also saw them come back and win after they got punched in the mouth.
Because Arkansas bumbled the game away because they made a bunch of dumb mistakes and turnovers and penalties.
So Arkansas just
wait.
How did Oklahoma State score?
They had a bunch of short fields. They had a ton of short fields.
80 yards on their scoring drive to win.
Okay, but what happened leading up to that?
Joe, they forced Taylor Green turnovers. He fumbled the football. They went for it on fourth down on their own 30, and they go down the field and score. They go for it on fourth down. Taylor Green legitimately had multiple turnovers in the second half on his own side of the field.
That's my whole point is that he and that Arkansas team made ungodly continuous mistakes.
I think there's a fine line by saying that Arkansas made the mistakes versus Oklahoma State forcing them to make those mistakes.
I don't know, man. I really think you're giving it. It's just I think you're really spinning a lot of the mistakes that Arkansas made in that game.
You better start fearing the mullet.
One more piece to this. It took Arkansas making the mistakes that they did for them to get back in the game. I trust a Utah team to be pretty mistake free. They're always well coached. I'm putting my faith in them.
I 100% agree with that. But if I'm Oklahoma State, I'm coming out here defending the run at all costs, and I'm making Cam Rising or Isaac Wilson beat me. And I think I really do think that if this game gets a little bit more high scoring, I don't know if Utah can keep up. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't agree with that either.
Utah's
going to win this game.
Your infatuation with Utah. You need to convert to Mormonism.
They're a good football team.
No, they're not.
Oklahoma State's lucky. I'm going to take the good football team over the lucky one.
You don't know if they're good or not. They beat Baylor 23-12, and you're calling them a good football team. Baylor is horrible. Baylor's not good.
That game was close because Cam Rising went down with it. Okay, we're talking ourselves in circles here, though. I stand with my pick. Utah wins the football game. I believe in the rushing offense. I believe in the rushing defense.
You need to get your glasses checked.
No, absolutely not.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. That's the most that me and you have debated on a game pick probably this year.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.